543. What's your name? A Marble Dive Shop.
Oh, that's around here. Then
All right, ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, call to order, Friday, August 11th, 2017. Commission meeting, if we could start, please, with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Finance Commission was given in compliance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act by filing notice of all municipal and county clerks within the Pinelands area and to the Secretary of State on December 16, 2016, and to the Commission's officially designated newspapers on December 16, 2016, and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the Commission's office.
Thank you. We have roll call.
Sure, good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Ashman?
I'm here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Barr?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Sheila? Commissioner Galetta?
Here.
Commissioner Janarone? Commissioner Lloyd?
Here.
Commissioner Lowbauer?
Here.
Commissioner McGlinchey?
Here.
Commissioner Prickett?
Here.
Commissioner Quinn? Commissioner Rowan Green?
Here.
Chair Whirling.
Here. All rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just a reminder, if you could please silence your cell phones for the meeting. We did have on the agenda our annual reorg, vice chair committee assignments. We're going to postpone that until the September meeting. Because I'm not going to send an email out to the different committees and ask for changes. So that's on me, but we will get that done. First item, the adoption of the minutes from July 14th. We'll do them separately. July 14th, 2017, open and closed session meeting minutes. We have a motion.
I move their adoption.
Second. Are there any questions or comments on the July 14th minutes? All right. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Abstentions?
Abstain.
All right. Next, the July 26th, 2017 special commission meeting. We have a motion.
I move their adoption. Second.
Again, any questions or comments on those minutes? All right. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
I'll abstain. Abstain. Abstain.
Got all that? All right. Next up, we didn't have any P&I or P&D meetings. Staff reports.
I had mentioned periodically that we were undergoing a periodic review of our UNESCO biosphere status, and that it required a significant amount of work on the part of staff to come up with all the documentation that they required and answer a ton of questions that were poorly translated from other languages. It was a big effort on the part of staff. Paul Lakin was coordinating. Lots of staff members participated. While we have not yet received our formal hats or pins or whatever it is we get, we were notified with congratulations that UNESCO has approved our redesignation as biosphere. So that was welcome and happy news. There's a hope that there'll be a sort of rejuvenated biosphere effort in this country, which has sort of been lacking over the years, while the rest of the world was really aggressive about doing it, which is good news, bad news, because it's probably be more work for us, but we're excited about it. So that was really good news, and staff deserves a lot of
Nancy,
hats on that.
will that report be online, or is there any documentation that?
We're waiting for something from biosphere, and then everything will
Thank you.
be going. Updates on our National Park Service rep. As you know, Bob Crewmaker had a 120-day assignment that has ended. Someone new is getting a 120-day assignment. That hasn't really happened yet. His name is John Atkinson. He is superintendent from the Midwest, Mississippi National River and Recreation Area. Who knows? The National Park Service continues to be our partner and help us. Peter Samuel, who's sitting behind me, is here. National Park Service. He's been engaged with us for many, many years. So we continue to struggle along as federal government gets our act together, and that's where that is. I met with Bob Martin. We'll discuss that later when we talk about the Wharton stuff, which is on the agenda. With regards to the special meeting we had on New Jersey natural gas, all the comments received, and I believe the transcript of that hearing were sent to all the commissioners. We did our best organizing the comments on the disc. I know it might take you a while to sort of, might take you a while to find your way, but it's all there. I think 44 people testified at that meeting. It could be 43. I don't exactly remember. I checked my notes this morning. I didn't have a chance. We're reviewing all the comments now, preparing the report. If the best of all worlds will be done in September, we'll be fine, but we're working now. And Paul Lakin in a bit will comment on the municipal orientation and summer short course, and that's right. And Larry's not here, so we are paralyzed now. I looked over and I said, Larry's not here, and then I looked at Susan and she said, Larry's not here. So we're just going to go to Chuck and make believe nothing happened.
Before we get to Chuck, any questions or thoughts for Nancy?
I'd just like to add congratulations for completing the UNESCO report. That's a major achievement, and that we're going to be right side up. But I'm especially grateful to you and Paul and for all the
And there
staff
were many others.
And all
Many
the
people
staff.
had hands in on this.
for making that happen. So thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, members of the public.
Wait, stop 1 second. I forgot one other thing, and you're going to hear it. We've been doing tree work on the property that we've been planning to do for a long time because we had dead and dying trees that were threatening vehicles and buildings. You may recall we had an incident a number of years ago. Tree fell, significantly damaged staff cars. So they're finishing up some work today, but when you pulled in, if you noticed some increased sun, that was why. So those were trees that were dying or dead and needed to come down because they presented a risk to the person. Sorry.
Good morning again. I just wanted to mention 2 meetings that the staff had. The first one on this past Friday, the staff met with representatives of PSE&G, JCP&L, and Atlantic Electric. The utility companies are interested in engaging the staff and the commission in a discussion about the use of herbicides within their right-of-ways. This issue was periodically raised by the utility companies. We had a preliminary discussion with the 3 companies, asked them to submit some information to the staff for our initial review, and we'll report back to the commission upon receipt of that information. The second issue meeting I wanted to mention was in mid-July, the staff met with representatives of Malta Township, Viking Yacht. Viking Yacht has acquired, to our understanding, the Ocean Yachts facility in Malta Township. That's an existing boat manufacturing facility. It's located in the Pinelands Preservation Area. If my memory serves me correct, this is close to the Greenbank Bridge, just across the Greenbank Bridge into the Malta Township in Atlantic County. Viking Yacht is interested in doing certain improvements to the existing, former Ocean Yachts facility. We had to engage the representatives and their consultants on that matter. The types of improvements I would characterize as relatively modest within their existing developed footprint of the existing Ocean Yachts facility. I think the meeting went well, and we're waiting to hear back on the next step in that process. That's the end of my report.
Questions for Chuck?
Good morning, Commissioners. So we held our annual Pinelands orientation for municipal officials on July July 25th here in this room. We invited county officials this year, planning officials. We had about 40 officials, and the special presentation this year was on local communication facilities and some of the things that will occur here going into the future. It was very well received. We were happy to have people there in those numbers. Then 2 days later, we had our first ever Pinelands summer short course at Kramer Hall in Hamilton, which went very well, especially for the first year of that event. We went on a tour with Commissioner Galetta. We toured the Atlantic Blueberry Farm, and the course evaluations are coming back very positive, so we're very pleased with how that went. I don't know if Commissioner Galetta wants to add anything.
I really enjoyed it. I get, from the doldrums of the everyday harvesting, and you have people that come out. I've done tours before, but it's enjoyable, and I would do it again. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening. It was like entering another world on your farm. Very interesting. A lot of work. Yep. So that was great. And then lastly, I'm sure you're going to ask about the visitor center. So we are still in the permitting phase. We've got all of our people on board as to who's submitting what documentation for the second round. You may recall we hired an architect. We were required to. They needed to submit certain information. The question was, what information can they provide versus our other contractors who have that information need to provide it all in one document that shows what materials are going to be used and then what's the fire rating for those things. And we're all moving forward finally with that information, so we'll hopefully get the permits very soon.
I think it's ironic that we're waiting for permits. And struggling to get them.
Goes around comes around.
Oh, yes.
Any questions for Paul before we go?
I just wanted to mention one thing, which Larry would certainly do if he were here. We have launched the sort of re-examination, relook at our long-term economic monitoring program. We had a meeting on Wednesday morning this week with what I'll call just our public users, county, municipal, economic development, community development people, some state people were here from DCA to talk about not just the annual report that we put out, but how we can make the program more useful to them. Do they use the report now? It was interesting to see the reaction. Some people were very familiar with the report and the data and the municipal information that we provide yearly, and others, it was almost like they didn't know that the commission had been doing that all this year. So that was good to know too. So we talked about distribution in different formats, and it was a really good meeting. We were really pleased. There were about 30, 35 people here. A lot of good discussion. Commissioner McGlinchey came as well. And it was just good. I think it was better than we had even anticipated, so that was good. So we'll be having another meeting in September, I believe in September, with some economists and some experts to look at more technical information there. And we're going to be contracting also with Rutgers University to help us with the re-examination and take a look at the report and make some suggestions. They've done that recently with the Highlands Council, so we sort of latched onto that process, and I think that will be really helpful as well. So it was a good meeting.
Any questions for Sue?
Sue, who at Rutgers is doing this with?
Oh, I was afraid you were going to ask that, and I didn't write that down. I'll get that information to you. Yeah.
Stacy reminded me of something else I forgot to tell you. We hired 2 new employees. They're not here yet. They start Monday for Chuck's program. Maybe you want to say talk about the briefly.
Certainly. Yes, we're happy to announce that we do have 2 new employees joining the commission staff as environmental specialists. The first one is Jim Capella. He's a recent graduate of Temple University with a bachelor's in environmental sciences. Very personable, well-spoken, and bright young man. Happy to have him joining us. The second employee is a woman by the name of Kelly Jackson. Ms. Jackson has around 7 years of experience with 2 or 3 different consulting firms around the state of New Jersey, primarily in the northern part of the state. Project management experience. I think she'll be a great asset to the commission staff. Both of these employees are also well-versed in GI GIS skills, which is also a valuable asset in this area.
Any other questions for the staff at this time?
Are these in addition to, or is this replacement?
Well, one is a direct replacement of some of the commissioners may remember April Fidzikowski, who left us a few months ago. Over the past few years, we've had several departures from our staff. So depending on how you view the situation, I think they're replacement of existing staff members and not additional staff members.
Okay, thank you.
Any other thoughts? All right, we'll move on then. Next up, we have several resolutions. This record closed in front of us, the first of which resolution regarding the borough of Lakehurst and Manchester Township. We have a motion on that.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Next up, we have resolution regarding parking lot sidewalk in Egg Harbor City. We have a motion on this resolution.
moved. Yeah, this is a violation that's being corrected. And I noticed that there's a change in the report that violation is in bold. And I just wondered if we have a register of municipalities that violate commission rules. We could keep over time, whether that would be an idea. It might be of some value. I think the citizens of each municipality should be aware if there are violations that are a result of the municipalities not following the rules, especially because the municipalities are certified by the Pinelands. So the master plan is certified by the Pinelands. The zoning laws are certified by the Pinelands. So is that, I won't go any further.
Before Chuck answers that, I just want to know, in this instance, I'm not sure this is.
Okay, well, yeah, I see that. But the
That's not-
municipality
I don't want
still.
to tarnish this municipality as part of this discussion.
True. Okay, yes.
Commissioner, the answer to your question is, do we have a register per se? No, but we do have records of all the violations from public agencies at our disposal.
And they're in the database, I mean, you could just plug in.
I'll defer to our MIS office to answer that specific
I believe
question,
so.
but it's available.
We would probably generate.
Yeah, I should qualify what I just said, because I was just blaming municipalities, because we see a lot of municipalities
Yes,
do this.
we
And
do.
I don't know, I would hope the majority of municipalities don't have violations, but certainly important entities, like that are represented here, they should be held accountable too. So, I'll say it again next time one of these come up, so, thanks.
Any other questions or comments on this resolution on the floor? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. The last we have is a waiver of strict compliance for Shimon Township. We have a motion on this resolution.
Second.
Again, any questions or comments
I have a
on
question.
this?
And the question I have, with the report, has to do with the driveway, going through the wetlands. It's one of the things that the applicant can do in this waiver of strict compliance. And there's really no qualifications to the driveway, just the driveway can go through the wetlands. I think in the past, we maybe have seen that there's been a requirement that it be stone, be some pervious surface as opposed to impervious surface. Is that important at this point, or is it a minimal? I mean, in other words, there's no dimensions prescribed for this driveway. I'm just curious whether that's important.
Certainly. For this particular application, What is actually occurring is those of you familiar with Indian Mills Lake, there are a row of homes that line Indian Mills Lake. Then there's the improved roadway, and then this lot lies on the other side of that improved roadway. So in fact, although there are wetlands within 300 feet of this particular lot, there is actually development that intervenes between the two. So in this instance, the septic system and the dwelling itself will be located 300 feet from wetlands, and the staff did not feel that the driveway being located connecting to the existing road with that intervening development would result in an adverse impact on the wetlands. That actually very observant, Commissioner, in the sense that we had a long discussion as to whether or not on the staff level to require a stone driveway or not. And that our conclusion was based on that intervening development. It was not necessary.
Okay. Thank you. I believe that you were taking a look at that.
Any other comments on the waiver? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right. That does it for resolutions that we have in front of us here. Looking at the agenda, if we jump right along to public comment on public development applications where the record is not closed. The moment where you can comment on, again, matters where the record is not closed, we have to keep comments to 3 minutes. And just a reminder that the formal record on the New Jersey Natural Gas project is closed at this point. So that being the case, if anybody who would like to make a comment at this portion, there will be a general public comment at the end of the meeting. This is that matters where the record is not closed. Anybody like to come up? Once? Twice? Okay, we'll close this portion of public comment. Next up, we have master plan and ordinance. There's revisions or updates to the lot. Any comments?
Just, you'll probably notice that there is a lot, the list is long. They're almost all related to affordable housing and fair share plans. We're seeing them rolling in every week. We're getting more and more of them as the towns continue implementing their settlement agreements.
Are you finding any settlement agreements conflicting with our requirements?
Not so far. We did receive one draft housing plan from municipality in Atlantic County. It had some surprising ways of dealing with their affordable housing obligation that involved transferring some of their obligation to the commission. That was the first time we'd seen that. So we did send a letter back to the municipality, and we copied the court to explain that that really can't happen. The commission is not an affordable housing bank or provider. So it was a creative approach, but we don't think it worked. So we've let the municipality and the court know that that's not something we can really do. So we'll see. But most of them are, a lot of the ones we're seeing don't involve any affordable housing projects or development in the Pinelands portion of the municipalities. Most of the growth is occurring outside. A few we're working with where they have identified sites in the Pinelands, but so far they're all regional growth area or Pinelands town sites.
Are they coming to you before the settlement?
Sometimes yes, often no.
Okay. The last item of business is the other matter for consideration. Your update on the work.
So at the last meeting, it was decided that I would try to schedule a meeting with Commissioner Martin at DEP to discuss this matter. I did that. Before I did that, I shared the resolution again with the upper management in National Historic Resources to make sure they were good with it. They were. I met with the commissioner. We had a lengthy conversation. It was very productive. His overall opinion on the matter is that he doesn't see a need for a resolution. He thinks that the work we've been doing with DEP and the work that DEP has been doing on its own has been important and effective. and he's been very pleased with it, and, you know, I could go over all the things we've been doing, and continue to do, but you're familiar with them, the signage, the increased police presence, the enforcement, we send over all the information we have up to certain sites. We work with them on protecting some specific ponds we identified. We recently started another initiative through, I'm assuming Katie's sitting back there somewhere, with both Pinelands Preservation Alliance and DEP to go out and look at a significant number of natural and creative waters and wetlands to identify and start to document an inventory of damage. So there's lots and lots of good things happening. So his out of the box was, we don't need a resolution. I will tell you that there is a lack of, a troublesome and frustrating, more frustrating than troublesome, lack of understanding at the department of the commission and the commission's rules, and they bristle at that, you know, being regulated, being controlled. It's been a challenge over the years. Just like it's funny that we can't get permits, it's funny that they don't like being regulated. I understand it, I worked there, I get it. So there was some gnashing of teeth in the beginning of the meeting that we got past. So as much as he doesn't see the need for the resolution, he's supportive of the intent and supportive of the use of the USGS maps as the starting point, as the guide, as here's where we start. This is sort of the inventory from, coincidentally, which is why I kind of like this, from early on. Some of those maps go back before us. So you may remember in the CMP, it does say we should first identify the inventory and then, working with DEP, identify places that shouldn't be part of that inventory. So to me, using that map is sort of accomplishing that first thing which the commission never did. So he was comfortable with that. His concern about the language in the resolution was that, as I said, in some instances, those maps are as much as 45 years old, and they haven't been field verified. So we could be saying, when we affirmatively said we're designating these as where you can go, some of these may not exist anymore. There may be new things that didn't exist, and that gave him pause, which I understood. But he was taking that step back a little bit, and he was fine and supportive of the use of the map as a guide to where the roads are, and a starting point that we will further refine as we identify additional areas that need to be protected between the commission in consultation with DEP. Now, that doesn't mean DEP can't do whatever it wants on its own, closing roads or opening roads. But it does mean that if we identify things, as we have been doing now, we will consult with them on that, and they will incorporate that information. So I understood his concerns. It was a very positive conversation. He was very supportive, very appreciative of all the work we've done. I understood when he bristled at the resolution, but he was still okay with it. I tweaked it slightly, which is why, and I couldn't get it done in time to get it in the packet, because the packets go out in an eternity. It seems like an eternity before this meeting. But, so the public has not seen it. It wasn't posted. I left copies in front of you. I can show you where the changes are, or explain it to you. I can put it up on the website with track changes so people can actually see it. But they were subtle, in my opinion. Language changes. The stuff that we added, we took back out, where we got anxious about that we can't designate roads, we can designate areas, because the nature of the resolution now doesn't have to do that, because we're identifying roads. And that is really the only change. So, you know, my only apology, I thought it was a great meeting. I felt really good after. I was anxious before. But I thought it went well. We got support of natural historic resources and the park people, so that's really good. And the commissioner is supportive of the resolution as it's written now, and the intent in it. And but I know that short of, we had been also starting to get limited, but some concern about the original resolution, mostly from event users. I don't want to use the wrong terminology, because some indoor events and other events, because they felt that the resolution, we had heard from someone, what does this mean for special use permits? And then we heard from someone else, what does it mean to this? And I felt like we're going to start to see more and more of that as people start to pull concerns, you know, these threads of concerns. And in the form that it's in now, we will deal with those road by road, case by case, area by area with DEP, and DEP, but it would also include stakeholders. And that he was clear on that. So, and that's where we are. So all I can say is it's a great meeting. I feel good about it. I think we have a good resolution that sets us on the path, defines a starting point, which is good, and we would continue doing the work we're doing as aggressively as we've been doing it. And we've been pretty aggressive about trying to work with them and others, you know, PPA in a couple of instances as well, to start to identify things, go out there and really inventory where the damage is, and then from there, you can figure out the best ways to protect those areas. And if I have it done sooner.
Nancy, will this resolution be on next month's meeting?
Yes. And like I said, I could put it up with the changes noted. I could do all those things. They're very limited changes.
I'd like to compliment Nancy for going to that great length, having that meeting with the commissioner. And I've read through the draft of the resolution. I think this is a good approach. You're right, the changes are subtle. I don't disagree with them. I think this is good for us. The one thing that this resolution does that the other drafts did is it establishes a method, which was central to my wishes in having the commission move forward, showing very clearly on a piece of paper or on an app, here's where you can go. So I support this. I also support the ideas Commissioner Gillette just said. We can put this on next month's agenda. That gives the public the opportunity to review it too. No need to rush it through today. It gives the public the opportunity to see it and come back and comment. But I think this is a good result. I'm supportive of this. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
I have a question, Nancy, on the draft resolution that you provided in section 2 of the therefore be it resolved. If the commission adopts this map, it finds that the roads that are on that map are unsuitable for motor use. They're suitable for motor use. It can go back and designate areas that are unsuitable based on consultation, which I understand, which is fine. What if some of the roads that are not designated as suitable are suitable in the Parks Department or the DEP wants to open those roads? Do we have to go back then and amend the map specifically, or what would be the process to correct an error or make a modification in the map?
It's not a map we can change. It's a USGS map. So at some point, that USGS map has to become some living map that can be so modified. I don't know how we change a map that the Fed's made that's a living, existing map that dates back to 1979. So the answer to your question, yes, it would have to be changed.
If there was an area that the DEP wanted to open to vehicle traffic, they could do so with or without the commission's approval?
I believe so.
Okay. That's my only
Yes,
question.
we can, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank Nancy for making that meeting happen with the commissioner, Mr. Mark. And I go back to my original statements that I've always brought up in the past. Number one, I think we should be doing all the state parks. Number two, I still have the concern about the single line dash access roads that follow right through the heart of some of the environmentally sensitive areas. And I understand going back and forth with some of my fellow commissioners, you know, what the logic is behind that. And I guess the other concern I have is that I would hope that if in fact we do adopt this resolution and forward going to the DEP, that it doesn't become a dust collector on someone's desk. That in the interest of just being cooperative and not stirring up a hornet's nest, that, you know, that they do something with our recommendations. We spent a lot of time and effort on this. I know Ed Lloyd and some other commissioners spent a lot of time on trying to work this out. But they are my main concerns, especially about those single line dash roads that some of them are which are only 200 feet off of some of these branches that contribute to either Batstow River or Mulligan River and watershed stuff. But in the interest of trying to move this forward, you know, I as it stands, I would probably support this at the next meeting. But there are my concerns. Thank you.
Nancy, let me add my appreciation to all the work you and the staff have done, especially engaging with DEP, because I know it's been a long process, let's put it that way. I haven't read the resolution yet. I'm assuming it's going to be fine. I think that we should hold it over to hear some public input, but I'm hoping that next month we can take it up and move on. Thank you again for all the work.
Hey Nancy, I just want to thank you and the staff for the work that you put into this to roll out the board. Thank you. Back provided. And reading this just this morning and hearing your report of your meeting, I think it was very good, fruitful discussion, and I'm ready to move forward with this. We'll wait to hear from the public, and I think it's time to do it.
Commissioner response to what he said, you know, as I been thinking about what happens after this, it would be my intention to set up regularly scheduled meetings with DEP on this matter, that we would just touch base, whether it's monthly, quarterly, whatever we decide works, to sort of hold everyone's feet. You know, if you establish that formality, that will get at that part of it. And perhaps one of the first things we would be discussing would be that issue of this, you know, what about those? So I think that, because if we don't establish from our end, they're not going to come looking for us. We'll have to push it, and we will.
And I appreciate that, Nancy, and you know probably better than anybody being working up there that we always seem to play second fiddle, and they really don't, sometimes they really don't care what we have to say. You know, and I use the water master plan as an example. You know, we spent a lot of time and effort, you know, here, and to not even become a footnote in that plan is a disgrace. And that's what I mean. It seems like we're always the stepchild of the DEP, or an orphan.
Nancy, I'll echo a lot of the commissioner's comments, and again, thank you. I know this has been weighing on you and a while. And I know that meeting. I know the meeting you had. You know, it's not easy to schedule and B to sit there. I've been up here, you know, arguing for a while that our rules say that we need to consult with the DEP, and we've done that. And I think that again, I haven't read this front to back yet, but I think we've done that. I think we've got the landowners and enforcement people's cooperation here. So I'm willing to, as I said, get this posted and get it on the agenda for next meeting. Nothing else on, there's nothing else on board, and we'll move to general public comment. Again, we will listen. Reminder, the public comment, the record is closed on New Jersey Natural Gas. Remind everybody of that again. Good comments, around 3 minutes, everybody's turns. Start off. First up is Mr.
Who signed up? Okay.
morning, Georgina Shanley, Don't Gas the Pinelands Coalition. With this resolution from MAPS, when the Commission passes this resolution, can the DEP sabotage it in any way? Or I'm not sure what the command chain is or who's in control. So would it be implemented as it is when it's passed by you? That's one of my questions. Really happy to see that the UNESCO paperwork has been done. And I just wonder if 2 big transmission gas pipelines through a UNESCO biosphere would have any effect on the credentialing for UNESCO. I'm not sure if that's part of the paperwork that's submitted. I know the record is closed for New Jersey Natural Gas comments officially, but I would like to put on the record, here's an article from the Philadelphia Inquirer, August 6th, and it's mainly concerned with a compressor station. They're investing $116 million in this 40-acre station, very, very close to their neighbors who are quoted here, very close to residential area. And the pipeline has not been approved yet. So what gives? You know, you wonder why the public is cynical or feels that we have no power when the nod somehow has been given by the Commission, I don't know, to permit this huge investment in the middle of a community that hasn't even been approved. So I would like to know did the Commission approve this, or how can that happen? Also, the pipeline really violates the comprehensive management plan. It's one of the big issues that I was looking into was
The record's closed.
I know, but it's a free country and it's free speech and I have the right to speak.
There's a record that's in front of the commissioners right now.
I'm not speaking for the record. I am just speaking so that our fellow citizens and the commission can hear. That's all. I'm not asking that you put this on any official record. There's no comprehensive environmental study done, impact study done, before approval is given to this new NJNG gas pipeline. Who knows what composition of gas with the frack gas is within the pipes? And who knows how long those pipes will last if there's going to be corrosion? And also the pipes are going to be put into an acidic environment. Nothing, really, there hasn't been a totally clear, comprehensive environmental impact study done. And without the science, you know, how can you move forward? I would just say that it's not essential. It violates the comprehensive management plan. The New Jersey Natural Gas is paying a little fee of $50,000 for an easement to the joint base. It seems like a bribe to me. It's not going to be gas is not going to be extrapolated out into the base because it's under such high pressure. And I think that the commissioners have to vote against this pipeline when it comes up officially.
Thank you. Roy Howard.
Years ago, the DEP closed 275 miles of road in Warden Forest without public comment. And there was an outcry, which led to a series of community meetings in each of the townships surrounding Warden Forest, finally culminating in a meeting that was held at Hamilton High School for public comment. 6 months after that meeting, the DEP rolled out its comprehensive management plan, which was presented at Basto Village. In that plan, okay, they outlined, well, first of all, they opened up all of the 275 miles of road which they had closed. They got a dedicated state police force that would do nothing except enforce laws within Wharton Forest. They put up signs, okay, listing the regulations that govern the use of roads within Wharton. And they listed guidelines for opening and closing roads. Roads would only be closed if they were impassable or damaged beyond the point that they could allow traffic on them, or if they were environmentally sensitive. In other words, we're going to designate certain roads that go into areas that we think are environmentally sensitive during certain times of the year. This seemed to be a comprehensive plan. Why are we revisiting this? Trexel, Trontis, Bornasian, state police, the park police, the firemen, okay, and the park superintendents all signed off on this plan. Why are we reopening the issue of road closures in Wharton? That's mine.
Bill, Roger? No comment. No? Okay. Margaret, Mr. Jackson? No comment? Okay. Peggy Middle? Nope. Okay. Joseph Springer?
Good morning. Joe Springer, Southampton Township. Regarding the resolution on Wharton, I'd like to call to your attention that the basis of the resolution includes a list of organizations that supposedly worked with the Finance Commission on the development of the proposal. The list is part of the resolution. The resolution also states time periods by date that the organizations participated. None of the communities named in the resolution are Enduro riders. I'm very active in the Enduro community in South Jersey, and I can tell you that this resolution has come as a surprise to all of us. I must also wonder if other recreational user groups were similarly disenfranchised. I think that you owe all the concerned parties a chance to provide input on this resolution. It is evident that the conservation community has had a chance to see it and mold the resolution. Fairness should and needs to be observed for the recreational communities. To that end, please include a provision for an equivalent effective forum for any recreational community that has not been heard. That said, I'm not opposed to the plan. It looks fine to me. I am doing my best to understand the details, however, and the devil is in the details. In reviewing the map of the assemblage of USGS quadrants, I am left with more questions than answers. There is no explanation or key to the maps that I could find, and I see a web of yellow lines that make no sense to me. There's a yellow line that runs right down the Central Jersey Railroad, and I don't know what it means. There was no rollout, so we need, I think, a chance to get it explained to us exactly what's going on. Finally, the Pinelands Commission is ignoring the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. Their maps are generally more complete and more accurate. I would propose an amendment that states that in addition to the USGS quadrants, roads shown on the DVRPC quads shall also be recognized as motorized roads. For those that aren't familiar with it, I used to be on the planning board for our township, and one of the things we would require from time to time was reference to the DVRPC quads. They go back a long time before this commission, as a matter of fact, and every 5 years they update it with overflights. And it's generally more accurate than the DVRPC quads. I use them all the time, and they also have photographic documentation of everything in the Pinelands everywhere, and they match the quads. So that's about all. One other thing I picked up on people were talking. I've been in meetings with the DEP, and your take on how the DEP regards the Finance Commission is pretty accurate. So I have.
Thanks, sir. Comment?
No comment, thank you.
Jack O'Connor?
I'm going to pass, thank you.
Michael Rasmussen?
Good morning, thank you. As I was preparing to send you the emails that I discussed at the public hearing about NJNG for the public record, demonstrating that the project lacks a military purpose, I reread the following passage from the Joint Base officials to New Jersey Natural Gas. I'm attaching the Air Force's general easement template. That said, as you and I have discussed previously, this will be an easement grant at fair market value with an appraisal being completed by the New York District of U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And here's the general easement template. In the comments that I sent you the link to it in case you'd like to see it for yourselves. And although this might seem like a pretty innocent or innocuous exchange, it's actually the smoking gun that proves beyond any reasonable doubt that the Air Force concluded that this project is non-military, as you now should too. This document, the template that NJNG was referred to by the Air Force, says in no uncertain terms that all non-military agencies will be charged fair market value for the use of real property under permit from the U.S. Air Force, which is precisely what the Joint Base told NJNG in the passage I just read you. There are exceptions in this document, but because none of them were granted and they ended up paying fair market value, that only proves that the Air Force determined that NJNG isn't entitled to any of the exceptions. For example, consideration can be waived if the permittee supports or substantially benefits the installation mission. Examples are FAA air controller, communications tower. Consideration may be waived if the activity conduct benefits or enhances the national defense. None of those apply in the Air Force's estimation. Please note that these are the exact arguments that NJNG has tried to claim. But by rooting NJNG directly into the process of arriving at a fair market value, the Air Force itself said that the project does not have, or concluded, that the project does not have a military component, nexus, or even a substantial benefit of the base's mission. If consideration has not been waived, a professional appraisal must be made to establish fair market value. Rental charges may be waived if mission support services equal or exceed the charges. Again, I want to stress that Joint Base officials did have leeway, only further proving the point that the project can't be considered military. Issue the easement without monetary consideration when the outgrant is primarily for the benefit of the government or will serve the public interest. Air Force concluded that wasn't the case here. It's the clear conclusion of the Air Force that the NJNG project is not entitled to be considered military. Fair market value will be charged to all entities not entitled to grant a right of way without charge. Respectfully, all I'm asking you to do is to treat the project exactly the same as the Air Force has found it to be, a non-military project, no more or less than what the Air Force has concluded. If it's good enough for their fee, then it should be good enough for the rest of us. NJNG is trying to connect dots that simply are not there. And I think it really drove home for me, and something that the Broward County Times wrote about in their last story on the matter. They said that the supportive letters from the base commanders are not the same. Expressing support is not the same as concluding that the project is associated with the function of the base. Support is not the same thing as it being a military project. You can't get there from here, no matter how hard NJNG has tried. Even in the original, and I'll conclude on this, even on the original meeting between the Pinelands Commission staff and NJNG, The Pinelands Commission staff said, find a military function, a military purpose for the project. Go to the base and find a military purpose for the project. NJNG couldn't do that. They have failed to do that. From then until now, they have not found one. This is not a military project. Please treat it the same as the Air Force has treated it. Thank you very much.
Doug O'Malley?
Good morning, members of the Commission, Mr. Chairman. My name is Doug O'Malley. I'm the Director of Environment New Jersey, representing 20,000 citizen members across the state. I wanted to start off by thanking the Commission for their process and review of the maps for Wharton, and to encourage and urge support for the resolution. And I guess I wanted to fully focus on some of the pushback from DEP, and I wanted to thank Commissioner McGlinchey for his comments, because DEP clearly is not treating the Pinelands Commission like an equal. And this is a classic example of where the Pinelands Commission needs to assert its independence. And as Mr. Chairman, as you pointed out, there's been consultation with DEP. That doesn't mean that the Commission needs to, doesn't mean the Commission needs to, not fulfill its mission. And this is a clear example where the status quo is not working. There's destruction in Wharton right now. And we need a process that, and a map that protects Wharton. And this is also a strong example of where the Commission and asserting its independence needs to be looking at not only what other state agencies are saying, but at its own mission, at the Comprehensive Management Plan. And as we look at the process ahead of us for the vote regarding the New Jersey natural gas pipeline, I sincerely encourage the Commission to give the public due process. We were discouraged by only having one public hearing in the middle of the day in Toms River. And I encourage, in the best of all worlds, to have a process that ensures that a public meeting is not jammed, this is not jammed onto agenda, and it's not jammed into the regular September meeting. We need to have adequate public notice and adequate public space, similar to what we saw in February. There's intense public interest on this issue, and this should not be kind of added on to the agenda with only a week to go. I also wanted to encourage the commissioners to treat this as a separate application than South Jersey Gas. They're very similar. The concerns of the Comprehensive Management Plan are very similar. But as we heard from Michael Rasmussen, and in the comments that have been distributed to the Commission, there is a very strong argument based on the fig leaf that New Jersey Natural Gas is hiding under, and that fig leaf is the Joint Base. And the testimony from Micah, it really can be, that argument is well documented in the public comment that was previously submitted. And I want to encourage the commissioners to go back and look at the two letters from the previous commanders of the Joint Base. Note that it's not the current commander, and note that general support does not equate to a military purpose. And that obviously is the fig leaf that New Jersey Natural Gas is hiding behind, and the public comment really exposes that. And so I encourage the commissioners not only to be looking at that argument and treating this independently, but to encourage that independent hearing process, which we've had, and to allow the public to comment ahead of the vote. There's intense public interest in this issue. The one hearing in Toms River, was only on one part of the pipeline. We need to have, if there's going to be one vote, give the public a second bite at the apple to comment before a public vote. Make sure there is adequate public access, i.e. not just a week, and make sure that this is not just being shoehorned into the September meeting. We're going to need a venue similar to Cherry Hill as we saw in February. So I just want to end by referencing two items that have come out in the last week. One, which is included in the public comment, which is a report by Skipping Stone, which is an independent consultant that works with a variety of organizations, including PSE and DuPont. The Pinelands Preservation Alliance worked with Skipping Stone to do analysis on the need of the New Jersey natural gas pipeline, and really it was exposing that the New Jersey natural gas arguments weren't holding up, and that it was very easy to have a lateral line, freehold lateral line that didn't require the route that's being discussed right now. And the last item I just bring up just comes directly from yesterday, the joint hearing of the Senate and Assembly Environment Committees regarding the impact of climate change. Obviously, that needs to be front and center for the Commission, for the impact that climate change will have on the Pinelands. And we would argue that also analyzing the climate impacts of having two pipelines running through the Pinelands and that long-term impact on this region. So let me just close my comments by saying, you know, we hope to see you in September, but we strongly encourage an independent hearing that allows the Commission not to rush this process and to get an opportunity to allow the public to get their full say. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I couldn't read it, I apologize.
Virginia Tanitz from Mays Landing, New Jersey. I'm glad to see everyone here today. And I'll make it very brief. I missed the being at the last meeting. I'm sorry. But I will make it brief, as I said. Soon, Mr. Christie will not be in office, and his influence will not be here in this room. And I'm hoping that that will be a part of your consideration for the pipelines, both the 30-inch one and also the 22-inch one. I want you to realize that is not just for, oh, I'm sorry.
Speaking of mics, folks on the phone can hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just commenting on how large these pipelines are that are going through this very sensitive area. I grew up living in an area that is part of a national cleanup from the EPA because of carelessness in polluting groundwater. Once it's done, this was done in this particular case, Minnetonka, New Jersey. It happened over 40 years ago. And they put in city water for everybody. Our beautiful clean wells were ruined. And I would ask these gas companies, do you swear this will never happen? And none of them would be able to give an answer. Their actuaries would not be able to give an answer for their, for that, to determine the cleanup cost and the not just environmental, but also for the families. And would we all be drinking out of the ubiquitous little plastic bottles because now we can't drink from our wells anymore? Please do consider these things, and I thank you for your time.
Tony Bernardo?
My name is Tony Granado, and I'm here to represent the New Jersey Sierra Club. It's really a shame that we couldn't pass this resolution for Wharton State Forest today, because we need the Pinelands Commission to step in and protect the forest from off-road vehicles, since DEP has failed to do its job. There needs to be a real plan to keep ORVs out of environmentally sensitive areas, and this map will help DEP enforce the law, but it's not a guarantee that they will do so. Our ORVs cause significant damage to our ecosystems and add to air pollution. We need to close off environmentally sensitive areas and stop ORVs from getting in these areas with real barriers. If the Pinelands Commission and DEP keeps delaying action, these vehicles will keep damaging the rare plant and animal species that are found in New Jersey's Pinelands. This map is important because it will allow DEP to start enforcing the law. Whether they do so or not, we'll have to see. It will give us a clear roadmap to protect the forest as we enter the next administration, however. Even though the governor has failed to act and protect the Pinelands, we need to set the stage for the next governor to help save the Pinelands. We have seen ORVs cause pollution, soil erosion, damage, and destruction of the environment, including streams and wetlands, and harming plant and animal species. They turn wetlands into mudflats and cause damage to parks and facilities. ORVs trample small plants and disturb wetlands and stream beds. The silt alone hurts water quality and makes it harder for fish to breed. This resolution would have been a first step to protect the forest, but we also need real enforcement. Driving off-road in the forest is illegal, yet still common and poorly enforced. The DEP must still educate riders what the consequences of breaking the rules are. Without real enforcement, the barriers the DEP has recently put up will not prevent people from going into the ponds illegally. Enforcement for ORVs has been dismal in the past under the Christie administration. How do we expect it to increase now in these final months? They need enough resources to do real enforcement, but under Governor Christie, DEP budget and staff has been cut. Without action from the Pinelands Commission, environmentally sensitive parts of Warren State Forests will still be at risk. These vehicles not only disrupt important natural habitat, but they also contribute to air pollution. There should be certain areas where ORVs are allowed because they're not as environmentally sensitive. Other areas that are more sensitive should be enforced as off limits. With 40% fewer park police and conservation officers, we don't have enough funding to effectively increase enforcement at this time. Just posting signs and putting in barriers without enforcement is not going to keep riders out of these areas. We need the Pinelands Commission to pass this resolution because otherwise parts of the forest will be paved over. Thank you.
Thank you. Marilyn Miller?
Marilyn Miller from Toms River. That's the official mailing address, but I really live in Berkeley Township. I was out kayaking on the portion of the Rancocas yesterday. Beautiful area. So what? If there is not a sense of compassion, who cares? I look around and I see faces that really look like they're interested in what all these people have to say. They've done so much. Hot, sorry, Candy. It's Marilyn Miller, you know, whose son works for Power Pacific. I'm talking about how I personally care about the Pinelands. And I look at the people that are listening to all the research that the public shares with you. And I can see who's interested and who's not, who thinks it's so boring, and it's not. As I was driving on 70, there's a big, huge sign that says, reserve. Keep the Pinelands clean and green. Well, it can't be green if you're cutting all the trees down. It can't be green if you're destroying it. And the word reserve. Who is it being reserved for? I don't see the word preserve anymore. I thought that used to be on the signs. I don't see it. When I was at the Toms River and several other meetings concerning any policy concerning the Pinelands, and there have been union members who think that people like me don't care about them, and that's not true. As I'm driving here today, I saw a phone company putting in cables. Want to know something? I doubt that any of those employees are union members. No habla inglés, and they don't want to. I've talked to another utility company and this one, and I see people out there as I'm talking with their orange vests on. The other utility company.
I want to take a step back here. I'm not going to tolerate
what?
Any kinds of comments that touch metal to any people.
I'm talking about reality.
I'm not concerned about what then. I'm not going to sit there and tolerate you taking shots at people.
I'm not taking shots at people.
Did.
I am giving you.
So please stick to the point and please.
The point is, environmentalists care. And we are not putting down or name calling. Reality is, it isn't always union people that are out there working. We're not taking the jobs away. Pay attention to this, please.
Concludes the sign-up sheet. Was there anybody else who did not sign up, who wishes for something in general public comment?
You know, I signed up, but I'd like to say something.
Yeah, introduce yourself, please.
Good morning. My name's Jack O'Connor. I live in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. I'm the director of the Pinelands Adventure Camp. We teach off-road riding skills for motorcyclists. We're proud of the fact that Rob Mueller says that we teach responsible use of the forest. And I just want to comment that when I come to these meetings, one of the environmentalists stress the damage of the forest. And we're out there all the time, and to be honest with you, we don't really see it that much. And then Director Nancy mentioned, excuse me, get a little nervous, about an inventory of the damaged roads. I'd like to see that. I'd also like the esteemed Emil DeVito, at one of the meetings mentioned 30% of the ponds were damaged, another 30% were in danger. That's like 60% of the ponds in the forest are damaged. We don't see it, so we would really like to see an inventory of the damage that's brought up at these meetings. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
Good morning, Commissioners, Commission staff. Peter Kawarda, Warren Grove. One of the things that I've been hearing today is something that we hear on the news all the time. And that's the problem with fake news or fake facts. What I'm wondering is that there are representations of this being true and that being not true, or downright not showing on exhibits that are presented to the Commission for staff review and action. What is the penalty if an applicant knowingly omits providing for basic information such as maybe topography, scientific studies, opinion letters from bureaucrats, so forth and so on, and they take action? What is the recourse of the Commission to correct or punish a false representation? Does anybody know?
So this is public comment. It's not a Q&A. So
Okay.
If you have a question, you can submit it to the executive director or to the staff.
Well, that's my question.
Okay. Yes, you can submit it to the staff and they'll gladly answer it for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for a public comment? You guys hand up.
William Brown signing off at 10:55.
Well, thank you all.
See you, Bill.
Good weekend, Bill.
Good morning, Ron Spanner from Jacobstown, New Jersey. I'm an enduro rider. I'd like to make a comment. You guys, the environmentalists group all your RVs in one group. When we go out there, we leave a 4-inch track. Most of your problems are from the bigger trucks. And both the DEP and the Pinelands Commission ignore it. These people want to have the right to recreate somewhere too. They should be given an opportunity to do it somewhere. If you kick them out of Wharton, they're going to find other places, and that's what they're doing. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Jason.
Hi everyone, Jason Howell
Seattle, Pinelands Preservation Alliance. I just want to say great work. You know, I don't know, it's been a long process. And it is a compromise because, you know, a lot of the environmentalist position would want a much stricter map than the one that's being proposed. But at least I understand that you need to compromise to really get something done. And I think this is a really great step moving forward. I'm glad that the DEP is on board, at least generally, with the idea. I know that the commissioner isn't out there a lot, so he probably doesn't see, you know, a strong need. But as someone that's out in North State Forest all the time, it's very apparent to me that there is a very strong need for some sort of plan to regulate what is a road and what isn't a road, because people are confused all the time. Just on Saturday, Lower Bank EMS was looking for a dirt bike rider who had crashed, and they were trying to find him in order to give him some medical assistance. And it was very difficult. I'm sure the person that called it in didn't have, you know, a standardized idea of where to tell these EMS people where to go and find this person. But once you establish a map that everyone is on board with, search and rescue, which I'm a member of, and other emergency response, it becomes a little bit easier to actually go ahead and implement some kind of recovery plan or response. The other need is for public access, and I've talked about this a lot, but you know, a lot of people do not really have a good guide on how to get out into the forest. And the publishing, the promotion of a map like this will really give that to people who might be afraid to go out on an unmarked road or trail without any kind of standardized guide. So I think that's really important. So I just want to compliment the commission on their hard work, and see you at the next meeting. Thank you.
Anybody else was not included on the original list? Yes.
Good morning. My name is Harriet Rolla. I live in Haddon Township. I would just like to say, as we all know, New Jersey is densely populated. Consequently, we have dense development with very few natural areas left. The Pinelands offers us a vast wilderness. I think we should do all we can to preserve that wilderness for the sake of the wilderness and also for our own sake, to help us maintain a good quality of life and a place to go to get away from development and the crowds, a respite. And if we continue to carve away at it and develop it, then it will no longer be our wilderness, our escape. Thank you.
Portion of the meeting. Do we have anything for closed session? No?
Can I say something in response to one of the comments that our commissioners used?
Sure.
I think it was Mr. Springer, who I think was suggesting that we met with certain groups and didn't meet with others. We met with, in this, way back, we met with groups and we were talking about plan review, but with regards to this, we held no meetings. The reference in the resolution is about people who commented at commission and committee meetings. So I will add verbiage there that says that specifically so there's no confusion. I was just referencing the fact that we heard from all these different groups, as we did today when they got to the committee. We had no meetings, we left no one out of that.
You may hear more between now and the next meeting. All right.
So that's, and in writing as well. So I'll just expand that and clarify that so there's no confusion.
Sure, thank you. Any comments from commissioners? Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I want to correct the record. As I think the commission knows, I'm recusing myself from the New Jersey natural gas pipeline, and council pointed out to me that among the minutes approved today were the July 26th special commission meeting, which I did not attend, and I did not have the minutes in my packet, so I didn't realize that. So I want to change my vote on that so the minutes reflect that I'm recusing myself from that vote. So, thank you
Thank you,
council for pointing it out.
Vote on that again. I think we should just clarify the record. So, pull that back out again. And so So we have, we're going to reconsider the July 26, 2017 special commission meeting minutes. We have a motion on those minutes.
So moved.
Second. Good there. Any additional comments? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Recusal.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? All right, hearing none, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?